Hello and welcome to the beautiful desert where we'll be filming today's video. So yesterday, I filmed a video about twin flames and handlers, which was about giving you tools of discernment for how to tell the difference between a false twin or karmic relationship, soulmate relationship, and a twin flame, which was really mostly about soul-centered relationships versus the programming that we are fed, which may make us choose certain relationships. So in that video, I provided some tips at the end to help you be able to trust your own discernment so you can navigate these relationships easier. And today I want to expand on that topic by explaining how human design can be a wonderful tool for helping you not only understand your relationships, but also how to navigate them. Because what human design does is shows you a mirror into yourself, into your genetic blueprint. And what I love so much about human design is that human design is all about the auric field. It's kind of almost a step up from astrology, because not only does it look into the astrology of your exact date and time of birth, but it also looks at I Ching, your chakra systems, and Kabbalah tree of life. So I want to give you a little bit of information about human design, including how to look up your free human design chart to help you navigate your personal relationships. So the first thing that I think is helpful in helping us navigate relationships and ourselves is understanding our energy type. So there are 5 energy types in human design, and they are all very different. So the first type we have are manifestors, which are about 8% of the population. Manifestors are designed to act immediately. They receive the download, then they act. So they're part of the population that is meant to jump in there, get something done, and they're not necessarily meant to follow through with the task. Generators, on the other hand, which make up about 35% of the population, they're designed to let something show up before they act on it, right? So a manifestor is going to have the download immediately, and they're going to act without thinking a lot of the time. You can imagine how that might cause problems in some relationships, especially if you're a person who values communication, and especially if you're a person who gets a little frazzled if somebody isn't going to follow through with your plans or might change your plans quickly or randomly, which a manifestor might be prone to doing, because usually when they get the download, they're going to be so excited about the download that they just act without thinking. So one of their lessons is to learn to inform their partner. A generator, on the other hand, as I was saying, is designed to wait. So they wait for something to show up, like a job, a house, a car, hairstyle, whatever they're, waiting to feel out. And then they decide with their authority what makes most sense for them, if it's a yes or a no. So generators are oftentimes feel like we have to act like a manifestor, but that is not what we are designed to do. So a generator can get frustrated if we're not living according to our purpose, which for a generator is finding what we're passionate about and then pursuing that thing. A generator who's not doing something they're passionate about is going to burn out energy or burn out easily, or they're not going to use their energy at all. So they're going to be like, have all this stored up energy and nowhere to put it besides channel it into frustration, which can also cause problems in a relationship. Then we have a manifesting generator, which is about 35% of the population. And this is kind of a combination between a manifestor and a generator. So like the manifestor, they tend to receive the download a little quicker, but like the generator, they're designed to act on it. So a manifesting generator who also doesn't have work or job they're passionate about can be like a lightning bolt in a glass jar. That energy doesn't have a place to go, needs to go somewhere. So they can also fall into frustration and anger. Anger is also what the manifestor can do if they're not allowed to act on their passion immediately. So manifesting generators kind of have that same, they take traits from both energy types. The other thing about manifesting generators is that they're designed to do a lot of things at once. They're kind of like naturally ADD, and it works for them. They can be answering emails on a phone while making coffee, while talking to their daughter about what they did at school today, and it comes naturally to them. So for other energy types that may not operate that way, that might be annoying to them. So it's important to understand your energy type, so you understand how your energy functions best and how you can live up to your personal potential, but also can be very helpful to understand your partner's type, right? So you don't take things personally. That's a big thing. We don't want to take things personally. That is one of the greatest lessons that human design taught me. So then we have our last two types. We have the projector, which is about 27% of the population. Projectors feel, all right? They can dig into somebody's energy and feel them, but they're not as self-aware as the other energy types because they have more open centers and they're more prone to conditioning than the other energy types. So projectors can have a tendency to project and to probe, which is not going to be comfortable for most people, right? So that's something to understand if you're a projector, that it's important to wait for the invitation, because not everybody is ready for that constant criticism, which it can feel like, not saying that it is, but just saying to other energy types, it can feel like constant criticism if it's not invited in. So the best thing you can do for yourself so you feel heard and appreciated is to wait for the invitation till you start randomly saying all the things, right? The other thing about projectors is they have CEO energy. So they have a natural inclination to kind of orchestrate things and step in that big boss CEO energy, which again has to be invited in, because it can feel very mothering or smothering to somebody who's not ready for you to step into your expertise. So if you're a projector struggling with this in your relationship and your partner's not open to the feedback, the best thing you can do is channel that into your work and find people who are. So find something you're passionate about, and rather than looking for people who need the help, they will naturally come to you when you start putting yourself out there and getting excited about what it is that you offer people without feeling like you need to overstep people's boundary and force change upon somebody who's not ready. So the last energy type we have are reflectors, which is very rare, about 1%. They have all open centers, which means they are the most prone to conditioning, more than all the signs, and they are designed to operate with the lunar cycles. The lunar cycles last 30 or 31 days, okay? So the lunar cycles also go through the new moon, which is a time of rest, reflection, sleep, meditation, planting new seeds. Then we have the first quarter moon, where there can be some kind of crisis of consciousness where we're like, an obstacle to our plans, right? We have to reconfigure how we're doing things, how we're moving to reach our goal. Then we have the full moon, which is when epiphanies occur, closures, endings, revelations. And then about a week later, we have the third quarter moon, which is similar to the first quarter moon. So we take what we learned during the full moon and figure out what's working, what's not working. So we prepare for the next new moon, which comes up a week after that. So that's how reflectors are designed to operate. So if you're a reflector, you're extra prone to conditioning, which means your personality and your energy may change a lot, especially change during, according to the moon cycles, right? So if you're a reflector, it would be good to know that. So you can kind of, what I like to do is track, I'm not a reflector, but I use moon calendars to track my energy so I can step into my full potential as an energetic being. I find moon calendars to be very helpful, but the energy type that would most benefit from a moon calendar would definitely be a reflector, because you are very much synced to the moon. So it would be helpful to know that about yourself, but also helpful for your partner to know that about you, so they don't have to take things personally. So that's the first lesson of human design. It will help you not take things personally, right? Which we shouldn't be doing anyways, but sometimes it's hard not to, especially when you're with somebody all the time. So another thing that I found really helpful about human design is understanding your open and closed centers. So we've got 9 centers in human design. They are correlated with the chakras, except in human design we have extra centers. We've got the spleen center. So actually I'll go from bottom to top. So we have your root chakra, very bottom. We have spleen center, which is your fear-intuition center. We have the sacral energy center, which is your creative energy center -- sexuality center. We have the solar plexus center, which is the emotional solar plexus center, which is what a true empath is, because they're going to feel emotions, right? Especially of their partners. And then we're going to amplify that if you have an open center. So then we have the will center, which only 7 out of 8 people have, only 1 out of 8 people have a defined will center. So that means only 1 out of 8 people in the population can say they're going to quit something and actually mean it. So that would be helpful to know about yourself and to know about your partner, so you can stop believing in their empty promises. Not saying that everyone who has an undefined will center is actually not going to be able to do what they set out to do, but it helps you in understanding your partner's behavior if you know that about them, right? So then we have the identity center, which is near the heart center, or which is basically the heart center. That can make somebody very prone to picking up on the behaviors and the actions of somebody else. So if you have an open identity center, for example, and you've got a partner who's partying all the time and doing crazy stuff, but you were a homebody before then, if you have an open identity center, you're more prone to conditioning. So you need to watch out, because it's very easy for these the people that you share close relations with, it's very easy to become like them. Because if you have a defined identity center, part of your role in a relationship is to set the direction of a relationship. So if you got 2 people with a defined identity center, sometimes there can be butting heads, or sometimes you're just both confident in who you are, or maybe the identities or the direction that you both want to set in the relationship is compatible. So that would be cool, right? But if you're an undefined identity center, and if your partner is too, then you're both going to be kind of prone to conditioning, and there may be some kind of identity crisis, or you could look at it as something that is a fun adventure. Maybe you like to be a chameleon, as is your partner. But either way, it would be helpful to know, and it would be very helpful to know that about yourself, because then you might start to be really discerning about who you are allowing in your energy field. Because I know myself, I'm just speaking for myself, but I gotta be very mindful of who I choose to allow to get close to me, because after years of experimentation, I know myself very well, and I know that if I'm around somebody who's has a lot of unhealthy habits, it's just natural for me to pick up on a lot of them. So when I'm screening partners for dates and whatnot, one of my non-negotiables is sobriety, and somebody who also values meditation, celibacy, and sobriety, right? So after the the identity center, we've got the throat center. Some people have defined throat centers, so it can be helpful to know your chart, because the throat center is, if it's defined, that means it's automatically connected to an energy center. So some people, if it's connected to your emotional solar plexus, you're going to be really good at talking about your feelings. If you don't have that, you may not be so good at talking about your feelings. So that can be probably frustrating in a relationship for a partner who is good at talking about their feelings, right? So through human design, we can start to accept more of our differences. Some people's throat center is going to be connected to their will center or their identity center. So they're going to be good at talking about their identity and what they want. They're going to be good at talking about their will or what they desire to happen. Some are connected to the reasoning center, which is the third eye, the ajna center. So those people are going to be very good at talking about their beliefs, which may be frustrating to somebody who doesn't have strong beliefs, and they may get tired of hearing about your passionate beliefs all the time. But again, all these tools are simply tools for understanding, and wouldn't it be nice to know how you operate and how your partner operates, so again, we don't take anything personally. All right, and then last but not least, we have the head center. The head center is what we're inspired by. So this is where we can also feel telepathy. So if you are with a partner who has an undefined head center, for example, you can pick up on, or the partner with the undefined head center might feel pressure to act on whatever idea the person with the defined head center might be planting in them. So if I'm a person with a defined head center and I am inspired by something, or I want a certain question answered, I may project that unknowingly, unconsciously on my partner, and they feel it because they're essentially telepathic in that area. So I also, just to kind of like backtrack a little on some of these other signs, like somebody who has an open emotional solar plexus is telepathic in a sense that they can feel feelings. So if you don't have a defined emotional solar plexus center, you're gonna be prone to the emotions of people around you. So again, so important to be discerning about who we let in our energy field, because if somebody is just a moody person and you have an open emotional solar plexus center, you are going to be empathic to that person's moods. So you better make sure you find a partner who is stable in their emotions if you don't want to pick up on that constant emotional roller coaster. So for somebody with a defined emotional solar plexus, they typically go up and down, and that's just the cycle that they're in. So hopefully they won't, if they're at peace with themselves, it won't be as, crazy up and down as it could be. Sorry, it's hot. Crazy up and down as it could be, depending on, where they're at with themselves and whatnot. And then I don't think I got to go over the spleen center or the root center very much, but those are important centers too, because for the spleen center, that's the fear center, which is going to help you feel that immediate gut instinct about someone if it's defined. And it's the center that's like kind of what I'm doing now. Like I'm walking and taking a video, but I'm also at the same time trying to make sure that I'm stay aware of my surroundings, right? Okay, and then if you have an undefined splenic center, you're going to have an intuition that speaks to you in a lot of different ways based on your environment and who you're with and what's coming through at the time and how the planets are projecting their energies, right? So maybe during Cancer season, it's going to be more emotional intuition that's coming through. During Leo season, where it's more fiery and passionate, maybe your emotion will speak to you in a different way, like more fiery and immediate, right? So it's going to always be different based on what's happening with the planets and the cycles that we're in or who you're around, because it's open and it's prone to conditioning. And breakups are going to be a lot harder for those people. So that's so helpful to know about yourself, so you don't keep going back to the same ex again and again just because you don't want to be alone. If you have an open splenic center, you, more than any other energy type, don't like to be alone, and it can be really hard for you to separate from partners and things that make you feel safe, because inherently you don't feel safe because that fear center is always open. So you're always picking up on fear from other people. So it can feel really comforting for you to be in the presence of somebody who has the defined spleen center. So again, important to know about yourself, so you're not just being with somebody and accepting toxic behavior just because you don't want to be alone. If that were the case, you could find somebody who you're more compatible with and understand that it could be the center that's keeping you attached to this relationship, not necessarily true blue love, or maybe it's love, I don't know. But like, I know there's people out there, because I was one of them, who have been in a toxic relationship and they go back to it. And honestly, a lot of times it's not about love. It's about not wanting to be alone and not thinking that you can do any better. So that just comes down to how honest can you be with yourself. And human design can help us do that, because it's a practical tool to help us do so. And then the last one I didn't really get to talk to as much as I meant to was the root center. Root center is amplifying adrenaline type energy. So if you're a partner who is kind of like a homebody and who's not very active, we'll say that, you might be a little thrown off by somebody with an active root center, because they're a person who's going to amplify root chakra or root center energy. So they may be a daredevil. They may push the limit on the envelope because they want to feel alive. They want to feel the rush of something. Or they may be that person who goes to work and is always like, I need more to do. I need more to do. Like, they always want to stay active. So that can be exhausting to an empath who has a defined root center that's kind of like up and down. So like, I work when I have the energy, I sleep and I rest when I don't. Like, it pulses in a stable wave. But a root center is always on. An undefined root center is always on, right? Okay, so that's an important one. Oh, and last but not least, I can't believe I didn't mention this, the sacral energy center. This is so important to know about if you're in a relationship with somebody. If you have an open sacral energy center, ooh, that sun is bright. If you have an open sacral energy center, you are amplifying people's mania, but also their life force energy and their creative centers. So that energy doesn't turn off for you because you're amplifying it. So you need that time at the end of the day to release the life force energy of the people around you. It's not, probably not, it's recommended by human design teachers that you don't share a bed with somebody at the end of the day, because you may have trouble sleeping because, well, if that person, if your partner has a defined sacral center anyways, because you're picking up on that defined sacral energy center through being close to them in the auric field. So if you're sleeping in bed with somebody, that's definitely within the 6 feet of somebody that you would need to feel their aura, right? I'm going to go climb on these mountains up here because this looks fun. Okay, so that pretty much covers the energy centers and the energy types. Then human design is going to get a little more nuanced and individualized for people, because we're going to have what we call gates and channels, which are which correlate with astrology energy gates. So in human design, if you have a gate, which is half of a line of a human design body graph, so this may sound confusing if you don't know what the human design body graph is, but you can find a free human design energy chart. I think I use www.freehd, or it's like free ID. I don't know. I'll link it in the description. But if you find, when you look at your body graph, you'll see lines. Some of them are halfway filled. Some of them are all the way filled, like a full line will be filled. Some of them are completely empty. So wherever you have empty lines, you're prone to conditioning, and you're going to subconsciously or consciously seek out a person whose energy completes that, because we're always trying to fill what is empty. That's what creates attraction. So when you get somebody who has the same energy gates for you than you, as a for example, so I have gate 51, somebody else has gate 51, that person is going to be more suited as a soulmate or a friend, because we share that same energy type, but we're both going to be subconsciously seeking out gate 51, because that's what wants to close the energy line. So what creates a magnetic attraction with somebody is somebody with the opposite gate, but it's opposite energy, so it's going to be kind of this magnetic push-pull kind of attraction, right? Versus an easier connection that may not be as stimulating, because it's not the opposite energy, which our soul seeks in order to expand and grow. Now, if you got somebody who has the full line and you only have one line, you look at that person as the mentor, because they're embodying the full channel of energy. So you learn stuff from them. So not only do they have the same energy that you do, so they understand gate 25, but they also have gate 51, which is the opposite of gate 25, so they can teach you about that too. So there really is this is the best thing about human design. There is no exact formula that's going to tell you, yes, this is the right relationship. No, this is the wrong relationship. It doesn't combine your relationship to a label. It looks at it on an individualized basis, which is why relationships are so powerful. Human design teaches us that no two relationships are quite alike. You're not going to find two people in the world that are going to have the same exact relationship with you. Or in other words, this relationship I have with one person is going to be completely different than this other person. Like, I'm always going to get something unique and special from each person that I share an energy field with. So all of this to say, there's so much more to human design too. We look at profile lines, which is more so about your destiny and your life path, which can also be helpful to know about yourself or your partner. And this is something I go into and explore in individualized readings. We also have a personal authority, which is more, again, about personalized human design and how you make decisions. Do you consult your emotional solar plexus center, or are you a person whose authority is the sacral energy center or the splenic center, right? We all have different authorities and ways that we are designed to make decisions. But the tools and tips that I shared with you today are, in my opinion, the best tools that we can use when it comes to navigating our relationships. And at the end of the day, the most important thing that human design teaches us, again, is that every relationship is a beautiful individual masterpiece, and it's going to bring out different parts of you. And that's what, in my opinion, relationships are all about anyways. That's what the twin flame label, the twin flame relationship, the twin flame journey is all about too. As I explained in my last video, a lot of people kind of put their relationships in a box when they put terms on it, like twin flame or karmic flame or soulmate relationship. And I understand that sometimes labels can make something easier to navigate, but like I said, they also put it in a box, and you can't expand or grow when you're in a box, right? So when you can kind of move beyond the label of something, you give that relationship a chance to evolve, to change, to grow as you do, because I assure you, we as humans are always growing and changing. We're all affected by the planets, the planetary energies, and our chart is always going to be changing too as the planets change, meaning that different parts of the chart are always going to be activated. So that is my generalized spiel for you when it comes to human design. So let me know in the comments if this was helpful and if you ended up looking up your free human design chart and what you learned from it. If you want to go even deeper in human design, you can get the free personalized report, but they don't go through the individual gates and channels or a lot of the nuances that I find very important. So that's what I go over with you in a personalized reading. It's the stuff that the free reports don't cover. So if you want to work with me one-on-one, find out more about your human design chart or your partner's, you're going to need your exact time of birth and location. And you have to get the birth chart, the birth time right, or else you're just guesstimating. And I had a client come to me the other day who was only 4 minutes off, and it didn't change that much, but it changed a little bit. So it changes the timeline of things for a bit. And depending on if you're born on a cusp or not, the last day of a sign, it could be the difference between being a 29-degree Libra or a 0 or 1 degree Scorpio. And that's a vastly different life path chart, okay? So that's why it's important to get the timing right. And I also do compatibility readings. And as I shared in my last video about my twin flame experience, when I was going through those very consuming, life-changing relationships, it was so helpful to have human design and astrology as tools, because it helped me understand their chart, what energy I was picking up from on them, because your partner is the person that, in most cases, people are going to be probably spending the most time with. Unless you live vastly different lives, which may work for you. But in my experience, I spent more time with my partner than my family, than my friends, than my coworkers, right? So their energy had a huge effect on me. So a compatibility reading will look at where you guys are taking in each other's energy, who's amplifying what, who's picking up on what, and also give you understanding of how you operate so you can make the best choices for you. And then understanding how they operate, understanding that you guys are different. So the biggest blessing of human design is that we learn not to try to change somebody. That's the worst thing we can do in our partnerships. The best thing we can do is find acceptance with ourselves and acceptance for how they are. And you will find so much freedom in that. At least I did. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you want to see more videos about human design, astrology, or walks in nature with me. So thanks for watching this. I'll see you guys in the next one.